Like when I was young and first getting on television, first doing comedy, because it just seemed like impossible. Like, how does someone get famous? How does it? I could see other people famous. Like, how are they famous? This is crazy. It seemed nuts. Yeah. But be careful what you wish for. I think I got a slow drip of fame, and that's one of the things that helped me. You know, I got on television for the first time in like the early 90s with doing stand-up comedy. And then it led to a sitcom, and it led to Fear Factor in the UFC. Obviously, it sounds hypocritical. It's coming from someone who happens to be famous, but I think that it's an empty pursuit. It's, you know, you can get famous doing a thing that you love, or you can try to be famous. And they're two very different things. And I think there's been many times in my life where I was trying to get famous. There's a community of people that are focused around the Kardashians, right, and the athletes and the musicians and the this and the that, and their whole ideas. The perception that people have of ultimate success and ultimate happiness is it seems motivated by what they don't have, rather than an understanding of what success and happiness really is. Their idea is that one day I'm going to go and I'm going to be in my golden years, and I'm just going to be able to sit around and do nothing and tell everybody to off. I had a friend of mine who worked in a restaurant, and one of the guys who worked with saved up his money for 8 years. Went to Vegas and blew it in one day. This poor guy, I think he was a dishwasher, and he worked there for 8 years.
Yeah.
Like, set aside 50 here, 25 there, set aside for 8 years.
Yeah.
And I think it was some good amount of money, like $30,000. Went there with a plan. This is it, baby. When I was a kid, my dad was an architect, and so I worked on a lot of construction sites, and I met a lot of junkies. A lot of people on construction sites are either alcoholics or drug addicts. And there was this one guy, and he's in the band. His name is Robbie. Funny dude. Loved hanging around with him, but just couldn't stay off the coke.
Wow.
Couldn't stay off the coke, and you could totally tell. He'd be honest about it too. Say how he went off the rails, and he's like, yeah, you know, I'm just tired of this. I'm getting my together. The band's getting back together again. We're writing songs and this and that. And then he'd come in Monday looking like real grumpy, didn't want to talk, had a headache.
Yeah.
And, you know, and he'd admit it. You know, there's a lot of people out there that they have a dream, and then the pressure of trying to reach that dream, like his dream is to be in a successful band, right? And the pressure of trying to reach that dream and see it to fruition, it just seems unreachable.
Yeah.
It seems too far off. The time when you're young, when you're having fun, is so fleeting.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden responsibilities stack up. And all of a sudden, you know, you have to pay bills. You have obligations. You have so much that you have to think about. There's this period of their life where they look back to whimsically. Like, that was the time when I was free.
Yeah.
I was young. My mind is usually pretty damn energetic. My mind is always filled with a bunch of different things that I'm trying to accomplish and different things that I'm interested in and pursuing. But if I'm down, usually it's my body.
Right.
You know, maybe I get that sometimes I've worked out too hard. If I'm overtrained, I get exhausted. But I just recover. A lot of people like to harp on free will and determinism, and there is no free will, and these sort of, you know, I think those can be fascinating philosophical debates, but I think as far as like your own life, it could be a massive distraction. This idea, this concept that there is no free will, yeah, throw that out the window, positive or negative. That's why I've run into people that all of a sudden you look at them, they look great, they've lost all this weight. Like, what'd you do? I just started every day doing this. I started walking, I started eating, you know, healthy vegetables and all this different. Now look at me, 90 days later, I'm all healthy. You know, it can be done. It's just very difficult. I would love to know if there's been any studies done on whether or not people ignored that impulse, because there's a lot of impulses that you have that you never act on. I don't discount the mental blockades and the different issues that some folks do have with motivation and with depression, and that whether that depression comes from chemical abuse, abusing substances, or whether it comes from a biological perspective. They've also shown that exercise has been as effective at mitigating depression as have antidepressants. There's a lot going on there that keeps people on that couch, and what's interesting is it doesn't exist in all cultures, and that it may be also the society that we live in, that this is a very unnatural way to live your life, and that the human body is not essentially not designed for sitting in cubicles, sitting in cars, no motion. I think people need to get their juices flowing. I think it's so underrated, and it's associated with vanity. It's associated with all sorts of insecurities about your body, that you're trying to pump yourself up, and your ego. But put all that out the window. I mean, it's not about that. It's about movement. It's about getting all your endorphins flowing. It's about getting your body into a natural state, because the body's natural state is in motion. We're not supposed to be sitting around doing nothing all day. We're supposed to be hunting and gathering, and that's how our body was designed. I think there's many, many meanings of life. I think there's a way to navigate life that's enjoyable. I think it requires many things. It requires, first of all, it requires love. You have to have loved ones, you have to have family, you have to have friends, you have to have people that care about you, and you have to care about them. There has to be things that stimulate you. Now, it could be just a subsistence lifestyle. There's many people that believe and practice this lifestyle of just living off the land and hunting and fishing and living in the woods, and they seem incredibly happy. And there's far too many people that get sucked into living a life where you're just doing a job. You're just showing up and putting in your time and then going home, but you don't have a passion for what you're doing. And I think that's the recipe for a boring and very unfulfilling life. That is an interest, right? There's something, and there's a direct connection between their actions and their sustenance. They get their food that way. They're connected to nature, and it's very satisfying for them. If you don't have that, I think you need something that is interesting to you, something that you're passionate about. I'm so interested in helping people. I'm very interested in people feeling good. I like them to feel good. I want to help them. I like doing things that make them feel like, oh, you care about me. Like, yeah, I care about you. Yeah. I really do. Like, I want people to feel good. I want my family to feel good. I want my friends to feel good. I'm a big believer in, as much as I can, to spread positive energy and joy and happiness, and relay all the good advice that I've ever gotten, all the things that I've learned. And if they can benefit people, then I find that those things benefit people and that actually improve the quality of their life, or improve their success, or improve their relationship. The more you can spread love, and the more love comes back to you, you also create this butterfly effect, right? Because where other people start recognizing, like, oh, when he is nice to me, I feel better, and then I'm going to be nicer to people. And when I'm nicer to people, they feel better, and I feel better, and it spreads outward. But there's a tangible force when people are upset at you. And that's the same with loved ones or family, or anytime someone's upset at you, whether it's a giant group of people or there's a small amount of people, that has an impact on you and your psyche and your physical. You put too many eggs in one basket. You put too many eggs in the financial basket or the success basket or the accomplishment basket, and not enough in the friendship and love basket. And there's a balance to that. And when I talked about the violence and all that stuff, like that to me is me understanding, recognizing that is me trying to achieve that balance. One of the biggest failures in life is to be extremely successful financially, but everybody hates you. Everybody hates you and you're just miserable and alone and angry and depressed and sad. You know, when you hear about rich, famous people that commit suicide, like, wow, you missed the mark. You got some parts right, but you put too many eggs in one basket. It's to like, go kill those demons so that this boat is level, you know, because if it's not, then the boat is like this and then everything's all up and every time we hit a wave, things fall apart. Balance that boat out, figure it out, like know who you are.